Well, this is the first time I intend to explain the theory of the tides, which is an idea of mind, consequence of the studies, the experience, the observation of the cycles of performance of the competitors. Mm. The way I see now is we're either improving or descending in a way that we are climbing new patterns, new levels, or we're descending. Even if sometimes it feels we're stuck in a plateau, we're probably not. We're either going up or down, like the tides in the ocean. This movement can be longer. It can take months, years for the athlete. Either one of them. Or could be sharp, especially the decline, which we would make an analogy here with the retracement of the tide. As the ocean sucks the water in, the beach comes wider, and so on. So the first idea is when we're improving, the analogy, the illustration is the tide coming in, invading, advancing through the coastline. As we are descending, declining, tide coming out. Water getting sucked into the ocean. There are those inflection points where water stop going out and restart coming in. And interestingly enough, this could, in the tides in the ocean, the nature, this could happen several times a day, or it could happen once a day. Same way in the life of the athlete, it could happen many times, it could happen once in a lifetime. And it includes, through my observation, factors that are sometimes overlooked, sometimes analyzed in an isolated manner, but the way I put it is in an equation where there are these multiple factors, and they are more subtle than you probably expect. They have nothing to do with the body, they have nothing to do with the mind. Most of the ideas and theories of how you become a champion or how do you get better as a competitor are related to body and mind. These are more subtle aspects, sometimes invisible to majority of the population. Things that are could be painful to dig and to look at it and to make the adjustments. But it is what it is. And still, even being very aware of the process to put it in practice is something else. So the theory of the tides. Purpose. Okay, first factor, purpose. Without a purpose, it is the way up is quite unanchored. It's just wild. It's random. Put it in the way you like. Purpose is gotta be there. Purpose and meaning. Enjoyment. Is an important factor. And satisfaction. Let's start with these three. Purpose, enjoyment, satisfaction. Interestingly enough, is the equation that equals the sum of the three equals happiness. True by Professor Arthur Brooks from the Harvard Business School, the manager of the happiness department and the happiness course, which I've taken. And so that equation was not thrown out there. It's based on data. And it made sense to me. I related to my experiences, to my observations, to my studies about sports. And those factors that equal happiness are the main ones to determine if we're getting better or if we're getting worse in our craft of competing in a sport. Probably in cycles of improvements of other areas, other fields of life, even though I haven't done the research enough to say so. Sports are more tangible, so still should be the focus of my observations and my conclusions. So the happiness equation for Mr. Arthur Brooks, I'll first lay it down for you before coming in with the theory of the tides itself, at least the introduction of it. The happiness equation for Harvard Managing Happiness Department is happiness equals purpose and meaning plus satisfaction plus enjoyment. That's it. Purpose and meaning has to be clear and strong. You must be deeply connected to it. So it gains life within you, even though it seems not that tangible or measurable. It gives you extra force. And of course, you want to be a competitor, you want to be a champion, that force is necessary to move on, to improve, to win, to keep winning, to win more at higher levels. So purpose and meaning must be there. What happens with purpose and meaning? It is something that usually has quite long duration, but many times expire. and we deny that phenomenon. We maintain trying to establish attachment with purpose and meaning from our past. I think that's one of the most common mistakes. That I made it a lot as a fighter back in the day. If I could go back, I wouldn't do it. But I did the best I could with the knowledge I had at the time. This was a big mistake. Try to establish connection with purpose and meaning that's in your past. Many times we have to renew it, to give new significance, to give new meaning to our purpose, and sometimes we must change or unveil the purpose. Denial is a recipe for descending. Descending is tide coming out. Improving is tide coming in. Tide coming out. If I have no purpose, tide's coming out. Faster or slower. The inflection point is when I find or unveil or I build the new purpose. That's the inflection point where I can start, rebuild, or start, not even rebuilding, start building a new move upwards. And performance, consequently achievements, purpose and meaning. It looks simple, right? Oh, you just gotta have purpose and meaning. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it's extremely challenging. Some people find it boom, right away, easily. Some people take their whole lives and they never find it. It's just nature. It is what it is. Maybe you're gonna have to make a big effort. Maybe you're gonna have to read books, put yourself in different environments, have guidance of experts to be able to find this essential piece to the equation, which is the purpose. If you lose it, you have to be humble enough and hungry enough to go and find another one. Otherwise, we'll build a life on a surface. It's not going to be strong. Remember, to be a champion, you're going to need that inner force, that extra power. It doesn't come from the body, doesn't come from the mind. Even with the purpose being there, it's not easy. Imagine without it. Impossible. Purpose and meaning is essential. Satisfaction. Well, that's more tricky. More tricky than purpose? Yes. Satisfaction? I always like satisfaction through the Rose method. We talk a lot about it. The Rose himself says, don't be an unsatisfied person. The one that complains about everything, it's not accountable, doesn't take the ownership. Experiencing satisfaction is part of the Rose method. Cultivate it, taking, extracting, living satisfaction through simple things. to the big things as well. But more as a habit than as a condition related to certain circumstance. Okay, that was my view about satisfaction before. But through Professor Arthur Brooks' explanation, satisfaction in Harvard Happiness Department, satisfaction is wanting less than you have. Then your satisfaction is high. You want less than you have. If you want what you have, your satisfaction is boom, right there on the middle. But if you want more than you have, you're not satisfied. Your satisfaction is low. So what do you do then? If your satisfaction is low, consequently, remember the equation of happiness? Happiness equals purpose and meaning plus satisfaction plus enjoyment. So you want purpose and meaning high, satisfaction high, enjoyment high. If satisfaction is low, your happiness is a bit lower. So you are less happy, but you want more. You want more than you have. The thing is, you want a championship. You want a performance. You want a legacy as a competitor that you don't currently have. If you have everything you want, you don't need to compete anymore. It's not exactly true, but it makes sense. So satisfaction is too high. It's good for happiness. But is it good for improving? Maybe not. So we have to sacrifice one another until we find another way. For now, that was the solution. I sacrifice satisfaction at the moment of my life where performance is more important. At those moments where happiness is more important, I sacrifice performance, boost satisfaction, experience happiness, less improvement. Which one is right? I don't know. You know. If you don't know, think about it. Think about it. It's individual. It's going to depend. Enjoyment. Enjoyment, there is a word in Portuguese which is more used. Portuguese is my native language, and in English doesn't apply that well. So for enjoyment, and that's something that is in the Rose method. It is in Patanjali Yoga Sutra as well. But is it? Yes. Yes. Santosha, it's a Sanskrit term. It's a niyama of Patanjali, which are the ethical prescriptions. Santosha. If you're familiar with that type of culture, Hinduism or yoga, you know the Yoga Sutra, the first work of its kind within the Hindu systematization. Before that, we do have the Upanishads that date to the pre-classical period. But Patanjali is ancient enough and is legit enough, let's put it this way. Santosha is very well explained there in his work. But we're talking about enjoyment here. Okay? It's not exactly that. but it could be. Enjoyment is, according to Professor Arthur Brooks of Harvard, pleasure with a sense, with a touch of sophistication. Not that cheap pleasure, such as gambling, porn, eating junk food. This is pleasure, yes. Smoking a cigarette. These are all forms of pleasure, right? Yes or no? Absolutely. But they are not, they wouldn't be categorized as enjoyment. Enjoyment would be a pleasure with appreciation of something that you taste, that coffee that comes from a special place in the world that was cultivated in certain conditions on some mountain somewhere by some type of people, and all the processes were very carefully made, and now you could smell that perfume that differentiates it and express its quality, where you go there and you grind it and you brew it carefully like craft, and you sense it, you look at it, you sip it slowly. It's more like a ritual, and it's usually healthier. It's not a dopamine hit. It is a ritual. It includes appreciation. Remember the equation? Happiness equals purpose and meaning plus satisfaction plus enjoyment. Enjoyment is high, happiness is high. Enjoyment low, happiness low. So what do? We want enjoyment high. But the training, the diet, the relationships with media, sponsors, sometimes family, training partners, the feeling in society as you training like a wild being to be a beast on court, on the field, on the ring, etc., is miserable. Right? You train after pain, after not eating, and you competing metaphorically for your life. Where's the enjoyment there? Where's the pleasure? You could say that enjoyment is a hobbyist playing their game. These people are enjoying, but the athlete that does it 10 hours a day, many times doesn't have any money, pain is through the roof. Where's the enjoyment? That's when I say you have to love what you do. You have to love what you do. Enjoyment is when you can appreciate that training session, those states of consciousness that it puts you daily. The detoxing that does to your body as you sweat multiple liters of water a day, the effect that it has on your emotional states, it's a road. Training is like a road that's leading you somewhere, yes. But that somewhere is more related to the purpose and meaning. The now is enjoyment. For each part of the road, we must love. We must love what we do. We must love the training, love the pain, love the... Yes, there's no other way. Enjoyment must be high. For happiness to be high. Because remember, if you don't enjoy, it's over. It is over. Satisfaction must be low. You're already sacrificing happiness. If your enjoyment is low, only purpose and meaning is high, it's going to be tough. It's not impossible, but it's going to be way tougher. Remember, satisfaction must be low, so we cannot compromise the other two factors of the equations. Otherwise, our happiness will come down too much. And this is also not good. Basically, the theory of the tide says, you want to move forward, you cannot be too happy, you cannot be too